Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this today. Day 114 of the daily Bible reading with moi. All right, I'm glad you guys tuned in. All righty, so we want to get this thing going. I'm going to be reading out of the New Living Translation again today. So if it seems more alive, that's why, right? Okay, let me get this going. There's going to be another beautiful day. I figured I'd get on here and early and read, and I think it's going to be good, guys. Anytime you read the Bible, it's good, right? You know, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and send me, either put it in the comments or send me a private message too, because I did have a couple questions and I answered them this week. One was on cremation, and I forget what the other one was right now, but anyway, and I'll answer them like tomorrow at the end of the Bible reading. So you can certainly do that, guys. Send your questions. I mean, obviously I don't know everything, but I will try to get the answer if I don't know what it is. All right, I'm going to share this to all the groups. Why don't you go ahead and share it on your page too, and we can get the word out. Just hit that share button, and then all your friends can join in as well. How's that? Okay, sounds good? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be in Leviticus today in chapter 24. Leviticus chapter 24. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Then we're going to go into Numbers. What's after that? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. You're going to learn all the books of the Bible. It's awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and start reading Leviticus chapter 24. The Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to bring you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to keep the lamps burning continually." We have to keep the fire burning, don't we? They want to keep the lamps burning. They want to keep the fire burning. And you got your own fireplace in your heart, and you need to keep that burning continually, not just when you need it. This is the lampstand that stands in the tabernacle in front of the inner curtain that shields the Ark of the Covenant. Aaron must keep the lamps burning in the Lord's presence all night. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be observed from generation to generation. Aaron and the priests must tend the lamps on the pure gold lampstand continually in the Lord's presence. You must bake 12 flat loaves of bread from choice flour, using 4 quarts of flour for each loaf. Place the bread before the Lord on the pure gold table and arrange the loaves in 2 stacks, with 6 loaves in each stack. Put some pure frankincense near each stack to serve as a representative offering, a special gift presented to the Lord. Every Sabbath day, this bread must be laid out before the Lord as a gift from the Israelites. It is an ongoing expression of the eternal covenant. The loaves of bread will belong to Aaron and his descendants, who must eat them in a sacred place, for they are most holy. It is the permanent right of the priest to claim this portion of the special gifts presented to the Lord. One day, a man who had an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father came out of his tent and got into a fight with one of the Israelite men. During the fight, this son of an Israelite woman blasphemed the name of the Lord, oh boy, with a curse. So the man was brought to Moses for judgment. His mother was Shelemith, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan. They kept the man in custody. Now that's the first time they've talked of a jail in the Bible. They kept the man in custody until the Lord's will in the matter should become clear to them. Then the Lord said to Moses, take the blasphemer outside the camp. Oh boy, that's not good. And tell all those who heard the curse to lay their hands on his head. Remember what laying their hands on their head meant? That they're putting the sins on them? Okay. Then let the entire community stone him to death. Say to the people of Israel, those who curse their God will be punished for their sin. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord must be stoned to death by the whole community of Israel. Any native-born Israelite or foreigner among you who blasphemes the name of the Lord must be put to death. Anyone who takes another person's life must be put to death. Anyone who kills another person's animal must pay for it in full, a live animal for the animal that was killed. Anyone who injures another person must be dealt with according to the injury inflicted. A fracture for a fracture, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Whatever anyone does to injure another person must be paid back in kind. Whoever kills an animal must pay for it in full, but whoever kills another person must be put to death. This same standard applies both to native-born Israelites and to the foreigners living among you. I am the Lord your God. After Moses gave all these instructions to the Israelites, they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him to death. The Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. This is the law, guys, and it's pretty intense. But Jesus came to fulfill the law with the love of God. So it's important that we fill ourselves up with Jesus, and then we'll be full of love. All right, let's go over to Psalm, where am I? Psalm 114, because we're on day 114. Psalm 114. All right. When the Israelites escaped from Egypt, when the family of Jacob left that foreign land, the land of Judah became God's sanctuary, and Israel became his kingdom. The Red Sea saw them coming and hurried out of their way. The water of the Jordan River turned away. The mountains skipped like rams, the hills like lambs. What's wrong, Red Sea, that made you hurry out of the way? What happened, Jordan River, that you turned away? Why, mountains, did you skip like rams? Why, hills like lambs? Tremble, O earth, at the presence of the Lord, earthquakes, at the presence of the God of Jacob. He turned the rock into a pool of water. Yes, a spring of water flowed from solid rock. All right, that's chapter 114 of Psalm. Now let's go over to Acts. Okay, we're going to go to Acts chapter 25. Acts chapter 25. All right. I think everybody's still sleeping. Maybe morning is not a good time, especially when it's a beautiful day out. People have lawns to mow and things to do, motorcycles to ride. 3 days after Festus arrived in Caesarea to take over his new responsibilities, he left for Jerusalem, where the leading priest and other Jewish leaders met with him and made their accusations against Paul. They asked Festus as a favor to transfer Paul to Jerusalem, planning to ambush and kill him on the way. But Festus replied that Paul was at Caesarea and he himself would be returning there soon. So he said, "Those of you in authority can return with me. If Paul has done anything wrong, you can make your accusations." About 8 or 10 days later, Festus returned to Caesarea, and on the following day he took his seat in court and ordered that Paul be brought in. When Paul arrived, the Jewish leaders from Jerusalem gathered around and made many serious accusations they couldn't prove. Paul denied the charges. "I'm not guilty of any crime against the Jewish laws or the temple or the Roman government," he said. We're in Acts chapter 25. Acts 25, verse 9. Okay? And I'm reading out the New Living Translation for those of you that just tuned in. Then Festus, wanting to please the Jews, asked him, "Are you willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there?" But Paul replied, "No, this is the official Roman court, so I ought to be tried right here." He knew that they were going to try to ambush him and kill him on the way. "You know very well I'm not guilty of harming the Jews. If I have done something worthy of death, I don't refuse to die. But if I am innocent, no one has a right to turn me over to these men to kill me. I appeal to Caesar." You know, God told him he was going to go to Rome, so he's going to appeal to Caesar and go to Rome. Festus conferred with his advisors and then replied, "Very well, you have appealed to Caesar, and to Caesar you will go." A few days later, King Agrippa arrived with his sister, Bernice, to pay their respects to Festus. During their stay of several days, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. "There is a prisoner here," he told him, "whose case was left for me by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the leading..." Okay, I got to shut this off. All right. Okay. Too many beeps. Text coming in. All right. A few days later, King Agrippa arrived with his sister Bernice to pay their respects to Festus. During their stay of several days, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. "There is a prisoner here," he told him, "whose case was left for me by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the leading priest and Jewish elders pressed charges against him and asked me to condemn him. I pointed out to them that Roman law does not convict people without a trial. They must be given an opportunity to confront their accusers and defend themselves. When his accusers came here for the trial, I didn't delay. I called the case the very next day and ordered Paul brought in. But the accusations made against him weren't any of the crimes I expected. Instead, it was something about their religion and a dead man named Jesus, who Paul insists is alive. I was at a loss to know how to investigate these things, so I asked him whether he would be willing to stand trial on these charges in Jerusalem. But Paul appealed to have his case decided by the emperor, so I ordered that he be held in custody until I could arrange to send him to Caesar. I'd like to hear the man myself," Agrippa said, because, you know, Paul was getting popular by now. He's telling everybody about Jesus, and everybody, and so they all wanted to hear what he had to say about this Jesus. And Festus replied, "You will, tomorrow." So Agrippa wants to hear what Paul has to say. So the next day, Agrippa and Bernice arrived at the auditorium with great pomp, accompanied by military officers and prominent men of the city. Festus ordered that Paul be brought in. Then Festus said, "King Agrippa and all who are here, this is the man whose death is demanded by all the Jews, both here and in Jerusalem. But in my opinion, he has done nothing deserving death. However, since he appealed his case to the emperor, I have decided to send him to Rome. But what shall I write the emperor? For there is no clear charge against him. So I have brought him before all of you." Peaches wants to visit now. Okay. "So I have brought him before all of you, and especially you, King Agrippa, so that after we examine him, I might have something to write. For it makes no sense to send a prisoner to the emperor without specifying the charges against him." Okay. That ended abruptly. So that was the end of chapter 25 of Acts. So this was day 114 of the daily Bible reading, and we read Leviticus chapter 24, Acts chapter 25, and Psalm 114. So if you're just tuning in, you want to go back and listen to it again. It's important, guys, that we read the Bible every day, and even if it seems boring, just, you know, certain parts of it seems boring to you, get it in you. Feed your spirit. You know, nobody likes to read the law and you know, about the sacrifices and all that stuff. But it's important that we know the history. The Old Testament was types and shadows of the New, and you need to study to show thyself approved, a workman rightly dividing the word of truth. And let's read this Bible all the way through, guys. So anyway, I'm going to jump off here, and I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your day. You're probably enjoying it now, or you're still sleeping. And Peaches wants to join in because she likes this. So I will see you on here tomorrow with day 115 of the daily Bible reading. If you haven't joined the daily Bible reading group, go on there on Facebook, Daily Bible Reading with Linda Weber. Join that group, and and read the Bible through with us every day. Hopefully, and also if you have any questions, let me know. Put them in the chat or send me a private message, and we'll try to get the answer to you. All right, guys, God bless you. Have a great day, and I'll see you on here tomorrow with day 115.